Next facilitator we have here, who is going to take us through, that is taking us through account reconciliation and reporting. I have with me Mrs. Jumoke Ajala from e-banking department of Alpha Beta Consulting LLP. Can we just appreciate her?
Good morning, all. I want to thank you for the privilege. I'll quickly be running through account reconciliation and reporting. Like I always say, reconciliation is what we do every time. Personal level we do it. We may not really be conscious about it. Majority of us, when we pick our bank statements and we see different things, and we are calling our banker to attention that see what is wrong, we are somehow reconciling. So that's basically what we are doing here. When we say reconciliation, we are aligning two records emanating from two different sources. The two sources here, we are talking of the bank statement that is containing all the transactions for Lastma or Lagos State government. And the second one is our database, where all those transactions are receipted. It is expected that when you walk into a banking hall and the receipt and the transaction is consummated properly, the taxpayer must be given a receipt. Network shouldn't be an excuse because it can be generated offline. When there is no network, you can get your, call that one temporary receipt. And it also contains all the details that you can have in the original receipt, which you can later pick up when the network is restored. So we also ensure that when you ask somebody to go and pay something at the bank, they must insist on obtaining a receipt. Because it's when they are receipted that the transaction is reported in a place where Lagos State can view. You know, you cannot view the banking application until it is brought to you. But when the transaction is reported, it's receipted, then you can view it. Two things are pertinent here. We want to ensure that value is given to the taxpayer who has made payments. Because when you pay and you want to use it as allowance or anywhere for any transaction, your teller is not valid. That is why we always want to insist that the taxpayer must ensure they get receipts. Secondly, we don't want a situation whereby you receive a transaction and it's not reported in the banking application, Lagos State is not getting value for the services rendering. Those are the two things we want to ensure are taken care of during reconciliation. What we do is we put the two transactions, the two database, the banking application in this instance, and Ebsrcm database where those transactions are receipted. We put them side by side. Unlike what you can do at the personal level, you know, you can easily think, I issued a check, it has gone in. I asked somebody to go and draw my account, they have actually debited my account. So many things can account for variances. But in this case, you cannot have something like unpresented check as you are having in your normal account reconciliation, or unpresented check. But we have two sets of transactions that usually stick out when we are reconciling. We have some transactions that are reported in the database. The taxpayer has been given a receipt, but the bank has not credited their banking application. We have another set of transactions. They have been reported in the banking application, but the taxpayers have not been given a receipt. And this shouldn't even happen because we have done an interface between our application and the banking application. If the bank is on full integration, once they are posting through ePay, should automatically drop in their banking application. But where we are having, when they are not on full integration, you will still have those set of transactions that we are talking about. Now, when you see a transaction that is appearing on the bank statements during reconciliation, and we are not seeing it in the database, the implication is the taxpayer has actually paid, the bank has credited their own application, the taxpayer has not been issued a receipt. The second set is you have transactions that will be appearing in our database and they are not actually reflecting in the banking application. That means the customer walked in, you quickly process, issue receipt, you did not credit Lagos State government accounts. So what do we do when we find out those two transactions? We generate correspondence to the bank. We raise letter compiling those two sets of transactions. The transaction that have not been received for that they are in in the banking application, they are not in Ebsrcm. We ask the bank to quickly post it so that when the customer comes back, if he goes with teller to allow or anywhere and he's turned back, he comes back to the bank, you'll be able to say this is your receipt. We are sorry for the delay. That will sort that out. For the second set of transactions that you are seeing in the EBS and is not in the banking application, we expressly instruct the bank to credit Lagos State government accounts. We have examples of correspondences that we have, letters that have been sent to bank. This is an example of letter to different banks. When we find such transactions, we issue the letter, we give it, we do not only send it to bank alone, we copy accountant general. And not just to those in public sector of the bank, we also copy their chief inspector, which we call the bank police. So that whoever has not done our homework should be told to do so. And I can tell us this has made what could have turned to fraud. How Lagos State could have lost a lot of money, we have been able to recover a lot of money. A lot of banks have refunded Lagos State because of their own internal control weakness. They have allowed their staff to go with taxpayer money, which is nobody's business but their business. All we are interested in, they should refund Lagos State. And we have seen instances where banks have actually paid back. So reconciliation has actually blocked loopholes where money could have been lost. And all of us, you can bear me witness that if you really monitor your accounts very well, bankers will be very, very careful to do anything silly on such accounts. So what we've done at our own end is we have officers per bank who does the reconciliation on a daily basis, weekly basis, and at the end of the month, the whole month reconciliation will be done. That's as far as reconciliation is concerned. I quickly move to reporting. I want to believe the person who actually spoke earlier told us that when a taxpayer goes to the bank, proper information must be filled into the teller. We are talking of your payer ID, the revenue code you actually want to pay into, the agency code, because we know that Lagos State, they are segregated, we have different taxpayers, they have the collections they are watching. So if you are under VI and you are paying, you are a company residing in VI, you should pay to VI so that their own collection, they are monitoring it. That's why the agency code is important. Revenue code, if you are paying for towing, you should not put it in fine. That's why we have different revenue code. Likewise, if it's for payee, if you are paying for payee, you should not put it in direct assessment. So reporting is made beautiful when the transactions have been properly consummated. And this information are very easy. It's just an interaction. What are you paying for? Where are you living? What are you paying? And the taxpayer you are facing will give you the information, and the transaction you record it. After that one has been done, very simple, because of this, the nature of the database. If you need any information as far what have you generated for towing, you just go to the you have a report here. If I want to know my collection by bank, you have instance there, Fidelity Bank. What have they collected for me under this very agency, towing? We are under Ministry of Transportation, 439000. Then you have the revenue code 0004733. You select the period you want to have. In this instance, we have selected 1st of November to 30th of November. So, at the end of that very month, this is the collection for Fidelity Bank. Not for all the banks. If you want to have for another bank, you put the bank, you select the period you want to have an access to. It could even be a daily thing. Maybe yesterday collection you want to know. It will just be like Friday was 14, 12, 12. The closing date will also be 14, 12, 12. You put the revenue code that you're actually looking for in there, and you click run. In a blink of eye, the report will be given to you, and you have the summary, the whole breakdown, and the total, the grand total at the end. That is what this database has provided. There's no point looking for, you might not need to wait for the bank statements before you can have your access. Like I always say then, for the reconciliation, when you are reconciling and bank comes on with reasons that we made mistakes, this report is very important, because when they are coming on with their letters that there are errors, we usually send letters to Ministry of Transportation that so bank has brought this particular request. There are two reasons why we send the letter. We want you to be aware. Secondly, when we have checked that the transactions are correct, the errors are genuine, and you now see that your collection dropped a little, there's a letter with you. You will know that this is what has accounted for it. Not that you just see, I saw this yesterday, see what I'm saying now, you have printed something. That is why we work hand in hand with those who owns the account to see what is actually happening. Thank you very much.